You are listening to Season 4 of Black Girl Missing, a true crime podcast covering stories of missing black girls under the age of 18. When black girls go missing, their cases are severely underreported in mainstream media. Join us as we dig deeper, ask questions, and provide unconsidered context. Due to the sensitive and sometimes graphic nature of these cases, we advise you to please use caution when listening. Hey y'all, welcome back to Black Girl Missing. Very happy to have you. I'm one of your co-hosts, Nikki.
I'm Asa.
And I'm God, what's my name? We do this every time.
It's gonna be a thing now. This is gonna be your
Okay,
thing.
I'm Feminista Jones. Still, fortunately. And we're here.
You a hot mess. How's everybody doing this week?
I'm Gucci.
I'm doing all right. I gotta say, after a little bit of a downturn in my life, lots of things happened, including car accidents and total destructions of cars and car thefts and all kinds of things. I feel like life is starting to turn around, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the opportunities that are coming my way. So I just wanted to share some good love. I'm actually feeling good about things right now. So
It's gonna be a
happy to be here.
great
Oh,
year.
I am very
Ashe.
happy to be here. Yes.
Very
Bonus
happy.
points if you get that reference.
Anyway,
Asa, how you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm gonna go with good. Yeah,
I love that. I love that. Is that a cat tower behind you?
it is. I'm getting ready for a new edition.
You're pro-
Finally, the person who loves cats more than anyone that doesn't have a cat
I
is going to
mean,
get a cat.
listen, emotional support paperwork took
Yes.
longer than necessary, but
Mm-hmm.
Now you're nesting, waiting for
yes,
the cat
hope
distribution system
it's
to
just
deliver.
to find me. Yes,
I love
yes.
that. I love
Mm,
that. Very
mm,
happy for you
mm.
preemptively.
I've got emotionally
I
supportive chicken right now.
I don't have a
we
cat,
Chicken
but
is
I
here.
do
great.
have chicken nuggets in my kitchen right now
Mm-hmm.
that are waiting for me.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna get into it. So I can get to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Asa, what
Segue.
what you got for us?
So today's episode is the case of Tiahease Jackson. Tiahease was born on October 5th, 1972. At the time she went missing, she was 10 years old, standing about 4'8" and 90 pounds. Though not much is known about Tiahese's home life, we do know that she had been diagnosed with asthma, high blood pressure, and Bright's disease, which is a kidney disorder which requires medication and treatment. She also was said to have had learning disabilities. So Tiahese was last seen on August 14th, 1983. Some reports say that she was last seen leaving Conca de Oro Motel, a Mariners Harbor Hotel on Forest Ave in Staten Island, New York, that she, her mother, and three siblings had been staying in after being displaced from their apartment after a fire. Other reports say that she was last seen at the Crown Supermarket in the 900 block of Richmond Avenue. The day she went missing, she was asked by either her mother or a neighbor to run to the grocery store and buy a pack of chicken wings. Um, Tiahease was described as streetwise and wary of strangers by her mother, Gwendolyn Jackson, and often ran errands in the city with either her sister or her sister's friend or on her own. At the time she went out to the store, it was about 1:30 p.m. Her mother was reportedly napping. When Gwendolyn woke up at 4:30 p.m., she noticed that Tiahease was not home, and due to her medical conditions, she grew worried and called police as well as went out to search for her.
So I want to pause
And
here for a second.
mhm,
As the resident who was actually born in the 70s, I just want to say this is how we did back then. Okay?
oh
Like,
yeah, yeah,
like this whole idea of her going to the store to get some chicken. She probably knew everybody at the store. She
Right.
probably went and they knew stuff when she said that she's streetwise. Because back then, especially like in the late 70s, early 80s, there was still that kind of scare with we had some serial killers and
Yeah, we'll
children
get
being
into that.
abducted and some stuff. So there was a lot of concern. Parents were concerned, but they were still sending their kids out, right? It was still like
Hmm.
it's okay, you can still go out. I just want to give people context, because a lot of people weren't around at that time, and I'm just saying, just pointing that out.
Fair enough. In their investigation, police questioned Tiahease's mother and uncle, including administering polygraph tests, which both passed, and they were cleared of any wrongdoing early on. If you grew up in the 1980s, you know that this was the height of stranger danger,
Oh, I jumped the
which
gun. My bad.
it's okay. Uh, and during this era, they used inflated numbers of missing children, and that caused a long-standing cultural panic, which led to lots of media coverage reflecting on the time period. One of those pieces of media was a documentary titled Cropsy from 2009, which gives us the story of the prime suspect police had at the time, convicted kidnapper and sex offender Andre Rand, born Frank Russian.
Mm.
Rand was a drifter who worked odd jobs, spent time as a custodian at the infamous Willowbrook State School, and lived in boarding houses and makeshift campsites across Staten Island. Rand served time for sexually assaulting a 9-year-old Bronx girl in the early 1970s and for driving a group of children to New Jersey without their parents' permission in 1983. He's also the prime suspect in the disappearances of 5 other people from 1972 to 1987, most of whom were children or young adults. Many were also physically or mentally challenged, going back to him having worked at Willowbrook. He was convicted of kidnapping 12-year-old Jennifer Schweiger in 1987. He was again convicted of the same charge in 2004 for kidnapping the 7-year-old Holly Ann Hughes in 1981. Tiahease disappeared 12 days after Rand's release from a New York prison. He had a campsite
Ugh.
at the Baron Hirsch Cemetery, less than half a mile from the Mariners Harbor Motel, and Tiahease's mother said she had seen a man matching his description loitering in the motel's parking lot. 3 days after her disappearance, investigators questioned Andre Rand, but they were unable to bring charges due to lack of witnesses and evidence. So Tiahease's case remains unsolved. Andre Rand is currently serving a 25-year to life sentence in the maximum security Auburn Correctional Facility with eligibility for parole in 2037, and he'll be 93 years old. Tiahease's disappearance gripped Staten Island and made countrywide headlines. Search teams of police and volunteers scoured the North Shore, and in 1984, Tiahease was featured on a nationally broadcast television show about missing children. However, all of the efforts proved fruitless, as investigators never gained any significant clues to her whereabouts. While police continued to work Tiahease's case, it became increasingly difficult to utilize updated DNA technology since her mother moved to Georgia with her siblings several months after she went missing and could not be contacted.
Wait.
Yeah,
Yeah. Everything about that is very, very odd.
I'm gonna let you
yeah,
finish, and we're gonna come back to that. But
yeah, right, right, yeah. The names and addresses of Tiahease's siblings are also unknown to investigators. At the time of her disappearance, Tiahease Jackson stood 4'8" tall, weighing 90 pounds. She had black, dark brown hair and brown eyes. Tiahease has a lazy left eye that turns inward, a mole on her left cheek, and a scar on her left wrist that was caused by a burn. She was last seen wearing a white sweater or blouse, a dark blue ski jacket with white trim, blue jeans, blue plastic mesh shoes, a silver bangle bracelet on her left wrist, two purple combs in her hair, and a yellow metal necklace with a butterfly. Her middle name is Tijuana. Anyone with information about Tiahease's disappearance is asked to call the NYPD's Missing Persons Squad at 212-694-7781 or the Crime Stoppers hotline at 1-800-577-TIPS.
Okay,
What the hell you
so
mean? I'm
Wait,
sorry, go ahead.
let's go back
you,
to the whole
mhm,
polygraph
mhm.
thing, because they know polygraphs don't really mean nothing no more.
Right.
So the fact that they just kind of, they questioned the mother and the uncle and the polygraph.
Hmm.
So clearing them of wrongdoing. I mean, this is back in the early 80s. It just wasn't what it
Yeah.
was. I know that was the primary technology that they used back then,
Hmm.
but we know now that they don't really use that. So that could have been anything. And I just think that that's really interesting that she just, she sent her daughter to the store, and
Store.
she just never came back, and she just happened to fall asleep,
Hmm.
right? Like, does she work at nights or something? So we know that
Right.
they were living in a hotel
Hmm.
because,
Their apartment caught on fire
the apartment caught on fire. She going to sleep at 1:30 in the afternoon and then waking
and
up
waking up
at
3 hours
4:30.
later. Yeah.
Right, and she just noticing that she wasn't home. But now when you said due to her medical conditions, was this
Hmm.
Taihese's or the mom's?
Um. Uh. Tiahease's.
So she
So
had some
she's
medical issues.
medical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um. Which and like when first we talk about the era that this is in, and it
Mm-hmm.
send your kid to the store or just have them outside of just being outside of the house without keeping tabs on them. Very, very
This was
normal.
common in New York. Yeah.
Right. But for a young girl with so many clearly serious medical and, from what they said, developmental disabilities, it just seems there'd be she would be on quote unquote a shorter leash, where
Mm-hmm.
like I'm worried about her getting her medication on time. I'm worried, did she take her inhaler with her when she went? It's just there's so many things that run through my mind, and while I'm not a parent, it's just I get she was streetwise, but also
So,
she
okay.
seemed very fragile.
So Staten Island at this time, remember, like, Wu Tang wasn't lying
Mm-hmm.
about life
Mm.
out there. You know what I mean?
Word.
Like, so I'm thinking Staten Island, especially where the black folks live. Now, Staten Island
Mm-hmm.
black people are not spread out through Staten Island. They are concentrated
Right.
in certain areas because Staten Island is a hotbed for the Klan. Okay.
Yep.
Like, to this day, like neo Nazis, the Klan, big strongholds in Staten Island, as well as the mob. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
black people tend to stick to certain areas. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they had a house fire, they had an apartment fire, and they're staying at a hotel or whatever, why was her mama sending her out to get wings, like to the grocery store? Was she going to like get cooked wings, or like
Right.
where was they going to be cooking these
There's
wings? Like, there's something about the story that the
there's
mama's saying.
ex-
I don't know. I don't
exact like there's
know.
so, and like I don't want to cast a ton of doubt on the mother because there's so few details that we
Mm-hmm.
can really
Mm-hmm.
go off
Mm-hmm.
of, like, is this sketchy or not?
But she
um
had like what, diabetes? She had kidney disease. She had
the,
high blood pressure
she
at 10.
yeah, well, yeah. So
At 10
she
years
has what
old.
was
Like,
called Bright's disease, which I believe, since it's a kidney
okay.
disorder, that
Yeah.
could
Probably affected the other
affect her.
things, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
your blood pressure will be high when you have other organs are having
Mm-hmm.
issues. You'll do that.
Right.
That makes sense. So you're right. Like, what? This is a young child. You guys just had a house fire,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you're staying at this hotel. You know the neighborhood you're in ain't the best, and you
Right.
just happened on August 14th of 1983 in the summertime, right? You just
Mm-hmm.
going to sleep at 1:30 and you just sleep. I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying that I just want to look
Right.
at every
There's
angle. We're
just
just going to look at
right, and there's
every
just so
angle
much
at this time.
missing information, which
Yeah.
is very common in these types of stories. Like, because we don't get a lot of attention paid to us. We're not going over John Benet Ramsey's case for the 50,000th time.
Didn't they
So
just
we
release
don't have.
another documentary?
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh God.
So I think also with the lack of information, it is much easier to come to these like conclusions of, well, this doesn't seem right. What I'm thinking of is Andre Rand. Like, man
Mm-hmm.
was right there,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right around the corner.
And she was getting the
Just got
chicken wings for
released.
a neighbor too. Let me clear that
It
up. She
was either
wasn't
it
going
was
for her
either
mama.
her mother or her neighbor.
Yeah.
I couldn't find
They weren't
who
really sure.
exact.
Yeah. Yeah, it might have been,
Hmm.
but whatever the situation was. This is a
Yeah.
10-year-old going outside, going to get some food, and then come back to
Hmm.
the motel. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh man. And then um damn. So I'm stuck on the mother Gwendolyn
Hmm.
taking the 4 kids and then going to Georgia. Now, here's the thing.
And
There's two sides to this, right? There's the side that says our families are, especially in New York, the Great Migration, our families
mhm,
are right there. Like my grandparents were from the South. It's probably let's go back home because maybe this is too
mhm,
traumatic. I done lost my child. I don't know what's going on. Let me take my other kids so they don't turn up missing as well,
right.
right? Especially with this guy being out there and there's the panic and things like that. Maybe she's thinking, it's probably safer for us to go
Hmm.
down to Georgia. But this idea that she left no forwarding information, no way for them to get
Hmm.
in touch. So here's what I'm thinking. Here's another theory I have,
Hmm.
y'all. Y'all ready for this? This don't even make sense.
Hmm.
What if they were taking Tiahease with them to get her away from something? Like, I'm wondering if this was a attempt to kind of fake a kidnapping or fake a death to maybe
Mm.
get her away from something. We don't have enough information, so I'm just
You're going
speculating.
very
And the
Lifetime
possi
on this.
I am. I'm going very Lifetime. I'm sorry, folks, but it happens. People do fake
Mhm.
deaths. They fake disappearance. I just finished watching Amelia Perez, so maybe I'm in that space of, somebody faking their own death or whatever. But I wonder if that could be something. The daughter had a lot of health issues. Or maybe
Mhm.
what if the daughter was too much to care for? And they set it
Mhm.
up. They set her up to be kidnapped, or they
Mhm.
set like they hide they put a hit or something to have her be kidnapped or possibly killed because she's got 4 other kids, and this other one, she's this one with all these medical and health issues. Maybe she couldn't take it no more, and maybe that's why
Mhm.
they can't reach out. Because I don't know, as a mother, one of my children goes missing. I'm probably not leaving the place where I last saw my child for a
Mhm.
long time. But then I'm
Then
also thinking about they left to go to Georgia because they maybe didn't have a place to stay. And maybe
yeah,
instead of trying to
and
find
then
another place in New York, they did that.
you know how we feel about taking the police's word for things.
Right. We don't trust them.
Um, did they really try all that hard
No,
to
we know they didn't. No,
contact
they
her?
didn't. No, not a black
Um,
family in Staten Island. Absolutely
so
not.
exactly. So I can't help but think of all the other cases where um
Mm-hmm.
the police start doing weird shit and
Mm-hmm.
focus is now on the wrongdoings of the parent instead of
Mm,
actually
yeah.
finding the child, and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
so. Like, uh, it's so hard to. I can't really, like, this isn't something like you should make a call on because it's not a game, but it's so hard to come away thinking that anyone's hands are particularly clean
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
without
Mm-hmm.
knowing
Mm-hmm.
those facts.
No, I agree with you. And when we look at what was going on with Rand, there was another little girl that he was connected to, and she had Down syndrome. And
Hmm.
so, you know, with Tiahease walking around with the wandering eye, right?
Mhm.
And maybe looked just, you know, maybe appeared to be disabled or whatever. Maybe he took
Yeah.
advantage of girls that were like
Mhm.
that because of his, you know, his own sickness and things like that. So,
Right.
oh God. And because she's a little black girl, she's, you know, I mean, it made headlines, and I think it was because of the whole panic, right? That whole like
Yes.
kidnapping panic. And so,
Mhm.
you know, she kind of falls in line with that, especially with this guy getting out of jail. But like, I'm thinking of New York at that time. Black folks were
Mm.
not getting no help from the police. This is why hip hop came to be what it was. Like, people in New
Mhm.
York, black and brown people in New York, were tired of police brutality, abandonment, neglect, living in these like ghettoized areas that were totally just economically disenfranchised and ravished and stuff like that. Like, black people didn't connect and rely. You couldn't rely on the police. You couldn't
Right.
trust them for anything, you know. um but I'm just, again, I'm thinking, like, at the time, I don't want to be hard on the mom, like, okay, why did what, you just
Yeah.
gone for 3 hours, don't know where your kid is. But also,
But,
if I think of
mm,
myself in
mhm.
1983, there was no 3 hour gap that I was away from my
Yeah.
mom, right? Like, with that,
And
she
like,
didn't know where I was. I wasn't with some family. So, especially at a time when
yeah,
they snatching babies.
right.
I don't
And like
know.
I
It
think
just,
with that is we extend grace and humanity
mhm.
to all the black mothers and parents that we speak about,
Yeah.
but in honoring that humanity we also have to be honest about
Mhm.
some of us are not good actors.
Mm,
And I'm not
mhm.
saying that that is Taihese's mother, but we
Mhm.
have seen it in other cases that we've covered. So
Yeah.
to be able to encompass that full humanity, we have to give both the benefit of the doubt and also, keep our eyes open.
Right.
Mhm. And it's also, you know, there's also a possibility that, like, I mean, at the age that she was, remember that one case we did with the little boy, Sir, I forgot what his name was,
Mm-hmm.
Sir, how he was so young that yeah, Sir Christopher, he could still be alive and have a whole different
Mm-hmm.
identity, right? Like,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? So that's a possibility.
Yeah.
But I think with her being,
Mm-hmm.
having been 10 years old, I think she has enough sense of self, or she knows who she
Yeah.
was, you know what I mean? So I don't know, like,
Mm-hmm.
we're just kind of spitballing here, we're just considering
Right.
all the possibilities, as wild as they are, because there are so few things. Like, she could be listening to
Mm-hmm.
this right now and not realize that she's Tiahease Jackson, you know. I don't know, like,
Mm-hmm.
there could be so much. I don't know. What do you think, Nikki?
Right.
I
You over there
think,
percolating?
yeah, my wheels are turning. I sometimes when stuff like this happens, I think about some of the episodes that we've done on like teenage girls who go missing because like life is just really overwhelming for them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder how often, because I know that it happens, but how often parents do something similar. You have too much for me to
Mm.
care for.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I am going to do whatever I have to do to make it so that you are not my responsibility. It might be like weaponized carelessness. It might be just looking the other
Mm-hmm.
way. It might be,
Mm-hmm.
putting you literally in harm's way. Go to the stove for me.
Mm-hmm.
I
Because
was thinking that, like, maybe
Yeah,
he
yeah,
won't come
yeah.
back.
if you go to
Mm-hmm.
the stove, you might not come back. Like, and I hate to say it that
It's
way, but
real. It's real.
it's real.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
and there's a lot of things that we think that a lot of people think but won't say because it just sounds crass. But it's
Mm-hmm.
true.
Right.
And I feel like my knee jerk reaction to me thinking that was, oh, Nikki, that's horrible. But when I took
Yeah.
a beat, I'm like, we live in a country, in a place, in a time where we are not supposed to be happy. We're not supposed to be able to take good care of our families. We're not supposed to be making good money. We're not supposed to be, too educated. We're not, there's so many things that we're not intended to do. That being said, it's supposed to be difficult because cruelty is the point.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of being able to look at the establishment and say, this is your fault, we are the ones who have to be at fault. we are the ones that have to suffer the consequences for a system that is continuously oppressive to all of us
Mm-hmm.
at
Mm-hmm.
varying degrees. And I think growing up in a very privileged environment, I got the opportunity to see what other people's struggle looked like from a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
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 Like I had the opportunity to say, I'm safe, I'm good, but my parents are explaining to me why that family over there is struggling and why we should always make sure we help them. Or, why the neighbor kids may not have or may not, their needs may not be met, but that's why we are going to help them. But learning that was because we inherently have that community. We are not encouraged to have community by the establishment.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want that. They don't want us to like link up. They don't want that unity. They don't want us to talk to our neighbors. They don't want us to know each other or trust each other. They want it to be the opposite of that. And by constantly making Black mothers suffer and suffer in silence and feel shame around what they can't provide, it puts everybody in a really precarious situation because I don't want to be the mom who is too overwhelmed to take care of my sick child. So I can't tell anybody about what I'm going through. So if something happens to my kid, I can't say too much
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, I got to be the bad guy anyway. So I just
Mm-hmm.
don't say nothing. And I'm just going to suffer in silence because I don't have any other choice. Because who am I supposed to talk to? And it's why I
Right.
get frustrated when I see like the arguments around like child support and baby mama, baby daddy drama, stuff like that. And it's like, I don't care how much child support you pay or don't pay. You are never making your child's life easier by clawing at their mother.
Mm-hmm.
You are never making your child happier, safer, healthier, smarter, more resilient. You're not making them anything positive by making their life a living hell
That's right.
because you don't want to do something. And that's not even like a mom against the dad or the dad against the mom thing. This is everybody. And so
Yeah.
when I'm listening to Asa talk about this, and I'm just like, this is a lot. This like just her being ill. And she was a small child, 4'8". It's a little bitty girl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
90 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
In the
Mm-hmm.
early 80s, that's a rough time
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
between, drugs and economic instability. That was a rough time. Ain't no telling what these people were going through.
And to have just lost their home in a fire.
And to have just lost a home in a fire. And ain't no telling how much they lost or how long it was going to take to get any of it back.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a lot. And it's, there's a lot of details that are not told, but that is also systemic racism and
Mm-hmm.
misogynoir.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have enough stories in the news about this one particular family because who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They were just another poor Black family in Staten Island. Who cares what they go through?
Who cares what they go through? Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It doesn't matter to anybody. It's just another, another Black child or another Black mom. Oh, all their stories are the same. Let's move forward. And it's a system like that that keeps us recording.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't want us to have to do Black Girl Missing,
Yeah.
but we got to because there's so many stories to be told.
I mean, there's so many. Like, we could do this show for seasons upon seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our goal is to capture different types of situations where girls go missing, right? Because people's initial idea is that they ran away and they're just runaways or whatever. So yeah, we can talk about some that have run away, but we also
Yeah.
need to talk about the ones that have been kidnapped. We also need to talk about the ones who, went missing or died because of neglect. Like Asa said, we have to say, hey, sometimes mama and daddy didn't get it right, and that's
Yeah.
okay. We also kind of like we look at the times, we locate the times, we put people where they were, we think back on those things. So that's also really important. So, we don't want to have to do it. It's kind of like you don't want to have to be a social worker. You don't want to have to, do these things. But since the world is what it is, we're going to keep doing what we do.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And I think that one of the things I appreciate about being able to do this is that we lend a perspective and a voice that is not the status quo.
Right.
And to give things a different angle. And I know, sometimes we get, comments or reviews that people are like critical of the things that we say about police or the system or um just law enforcement in general or the justice system.
I mean, that's cool. I
Yeah.
hate cap.
Yeah. We're like, yeah,
Sorry.
we're
Right.
harsh. Yeah, sure. We're harsh on them. We're critical, sure. But at what point did we tell a lie though?
Mm,
Woo,
Like
that
point
part.
out where we said something that was libelous. Like point out where we
mm,
said something slanderous. We didn't.
mm. We
We're
ain't told
going
one
off
lie.
of we ain't told one lie. We're going off both statistical data and
Hmm.
just we have eyeballs.
Right.
And we are of a certain age. We are not, we're not in our 20s or our 30s. We're not new here. Um, and we've gotten an opportunity to see things for a really long time.
Hmm.
And you start to notice patterns, right? That's one thing you learn when you are a baby.
Right.
And if I don't see no other patterns, I see that nobody gives a shit what happens to black girls or black women. Um, they can rake us over the coals no matter what we're doing. And we are determined to fight against that because it's bullshit.
Yep. That's us. That's what we do. All right, this was a good one. This was why I like when we do the throwbacks. I like when we have the kind of cold cases from the ancient times.
Yeah, I think it's important to get, that historical references in there.
But this has been
Yeah.
happening
Like,
for a very long time.
for
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. This
Like
is
my
not an
students say,
I do
my
sorry,
students
go
say back
ahead.
in the 1900s.
I'm
I'll be
sorry.
like,
What?
my students will be like back in the 1900s, and I'm like, I'm thinking 1902, and they'd be like, yeah,
Right.
back in
They're like
1993.
1996.
I'd be like, what? Wow. Yeah.
I'm
I,
offended.
I just had a class. I just had a
Listen,
class, and I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, were you guys born in what, like 2099? They were like, no, 2006, 2007. I was like, wait,
I don't.
why?
I still have a
What?
hard time recognizing that
What?
anybody was born after 2000.
No, they were born in like
I
2005,
don't,
2000. I was like, wait, but my kid was born in
I don't
'06. So
recognize them as existing unless they're like right in front of my face.
wow,
They are a concept to me.
post Y2K, right? That was the split. I think Y2K was the split. Like, okay, but
Yeah.
anyway, okay.
That is nuts.
No, like when you think about it, there's a difference. If you were born before Y2K and born after Y2K, there's a difference there. If you were born before Y2K, there's still a chance you can read. Oh, shit.
FJ.
Oh, that was
Wow.
wow. This is why we
Blame
gotta end.
George Bush. Don't blame us.
Let's end the show because what am I talking
Thank
I'm,
about?
y'all
I'm
for
blaming
listening
Clinton. I'm
to.
blaming Clinton, but I hear you though. I hear you.
Let me order some
Thank
liquor.
y'all for listening to another episode
A
of Black
black
Girl
girl.
Missing.
We will,
Toodles.
we'll see y'all next week.
Peace and blessings.
Black Girl Missing Podcast is researched, written, and produced by 3 concerned black women who want justice for missing black girls. You can find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Please remember to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite platform so we can keep bringing you the stories of Black girls that need to be told. Visit us at blackgirlmissingpod.com for all things Black Girl Missing. Today's episode was written by Asa Todd and produced by Nikki Irene.